Howdy, folks. Today we're going to continue our examination of evidence and appeals and how those are directed specifically to particular audiences in a rhetorical situation and in an argument. So specifically what we're going to attack today is trying to identify the values, beliefs, needs, and or background of an audience, as well as trying to note the strategic efficacy of these different types of rhetorical claims of reasoning, emotions, or credibility, logos, pathos, or ethos. So as a reminder, remember, we have to understand our audience and try to address them because that has a direct impact on the persuasiveness of what a writer is trying to do, right? And additionally, in terms of being an academic and a student, helps prove that we're a critical reader if we can recognize appeals to audiences and understand why those appeals are being made, helps us understand the rhetorical situation. And in our own cases, it helps us write in a sophisticated, nuanced manner if we can address an audience specifically, to have an audience in mind as we're writing. So let's take a look at the needs of an audience. And to do this, we're going to look at an example. So an audience has some specific needs that they want addressed depending on the type of person or group that you're speaking to. So an author has to make rhetorical choices that are reflecting what that audience needs and that are pointed to achieve a purpose, right? I'm not just going to throw out any piece of evidence that I want. I'm going to carefully select a piece of evidence and present it in such a way that is working towards a desired effect upon my audience. It's like a really calculated chess move. So we do this stuff naturally, but the best rhetoricians, the best arguers, the best writers really know and really have looked, okay, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And what effect is this going to have on my audience? So we're going to look at a letter to Congress. And I want you to think about the role of Congress, the background and the needs that a congressperson has. Like they're in charge of a lot. They're an important person in American society, right? They're in charge of financial responsibility. They're in charge of laws, creating new laws for the entire United States of America. And they're also there to represent its citizens, right? They are not making votes in a vacuum. They're making votes based on their own citizens that elected them and sent them to Congress. So thinking about those three things, if I were going to reach out to a member of Congress or to Congress as a broad scale, I would need to take those into consideration as I make my appeals to ask them to do something, either make a new law or repeal an old one. So I'm going to have you read this short little letter by Lori Kuiper. Sorry for the potato quality. So just pause the video, take a look through it. And then to yourself, I kind of want you to answer these 4 questions. What do you notice about this short letter? How does she establish her credibility? What appealed to you as an individual? And would it be the same if you were a member of Congress? So there's a difference between just an average citizen and maybe member of Congress. So take a read through this, and then let's talk through it. So some of the ways that she outlines her role and her credibility as a speaker is she characterizes herself as many different types of people, right? She is not only a wife, but she's a patient herself. She's a caregiver to her grandsons. And the impact that this would have on Congress is an appeal to both ethos and pathos, right? She's trying to set herself up as credibility as like, hey, I'm the type of person, I'm the hardworking American you are trying to support and build up, right? I'm the foundation of like the values of our country. And additionally, you don't want me to have a bad time. Like I've gone through a lot being a caregiver and a wife and a patient myself. You making this law change to healthcare is going to severely affect myself, right? And so she's building that pathos. Now, I don't quite want to say guilt, but there is an emotion to the struggle that she would go through with this new law passed. But she also appeals, she doesn't just stop there, she appeals to their fiscal responsibility, right? Congress, they have responsibilities, but they also are accountable for a lot of money. They are the ones who literally spend your tax dollars. And so she provide some examples of like, hey, here are some ways that you can also consider your duty as a financial officer. So she talks about the cost concerns related to medical oxygen, right? She even brings up some ideas to save money, right? I'm not the type of person, she says, that you want to be preventing medical care from. Like, let's focus our efforts on finding and stopping those abuses and those errors in Medicare in order to allow people like me, who is working hard, to receive these benefits and to live the life that, you know, I've worked to do. I haven't expected anyone to give this to me, but this would make my life a whole lot easier, which is what I want you to do as my congressman. So these are appealing to definitely to members of Congress, right? If I'm addressing fiscal responsibility here, and perhaps even to the voters that elect them, right? If this letter is to Congress, but their secondary audience is any voter who reads this letter, they might start being persuaded and consider like, hey, am I like this other person? Am I like this Lori Kepper who has written this letter to Congress? And so in our final slide, what do I want you to take away from this? Well, number one, Lori Kepper is not a professional writer, right? She is just literally a grandma who's like, I have a need. I have an exigence to be heard about Medicare and healthcare in America. And I need to have someone who is in some sort of responsibility or some leadership position listen to me. So she took her steps to be understood and tried to really appeal to what she thought a congressman would listen to, right? This isn't some famous author. This isn't some famous speech. This is just a letter from a citizen to the United States Congress. And I think it's pretty effective because of these steps that this person took to be understood and to understand who she was talking to. So as you guys go throughout your own writing and through your own reading, start paying attention to that. Like, what types of appeals are being made, and are these crafted specifically for the audience that's in mind? All right. Good luck, folks.